Mountain West Conference Football Media Day, day number 1, Players Day. John's here. It's Cofield. Angel's helping us out, and we get to sit down with one of our favorite guys from UNLV football, and it's Naki Fahina. I don't remember you doing a ton of interviews locally, so they just throw you right into the fire here, huh? You're doing a bunch today.
Yeah, me and Doug rehearsed on Monday to get me ready.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was kind of nervous. So
what goes into a rehearsal?
Just Doug having a list of questions he asking me, and then just me practicing on what I got to say. So Doug was a huge part of helping me with that.
You should have texted us the questions.
Right, say, we'll test you on it right now.
What were you good at? Which questions? So this is cool for you. We were talking off the air about, injuries last year and, being a football player and not being able to go out there and be physical. What was it like? First of all, tell people what the injury was and, just how frustrating it was watching last season, which maybe a couple of big plays from Naki Fahina turns that into a 6 or 7 win football team.
No, yeah. So I had a Liz Frank, which is the ligament in my foot that holds all my toes together. So that completely torn. It left my big toe hanging out by himself. So, no, it was hard. It was hard last season not being able to play with a lot of the guys that I had came in with to UNLV back in 2019. So seeing a lot of the players that left the year 2022 was kind of hard because I didn't get to be able to finish off that season with them. So that was probably the hardest part, not being able to be out there to help my brothers in any way possible in the trenches.
So I got to work sideline for a couple of games. I saw you, but you were pretty active. You had a voice. You were talking with guys. Was that like a point of contention for you? Like, if I'm not going to play, I'm going to be around. I'm going to be vocal. From that experience, what was that like for you? Is that something you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I knew that even though I was out, it's not much that I could really do with my foot, So I just took that step. If I can't be a leader on the field, I'm gonna try to be one on the sideline. Just being out, I just wanted to be the guy. If we're down, try to keep everyone's head up. Stay positive. The game's not done till the clock hits 0. So I was just trying to keep everyone motivated and just keep that feel of football like I'm still playing, but like on the sideline type.
You've been here a long time, and you've been through 3 head coaches. How has that D line changed in terms of talent and brotherhood?
From the beginning of me getting here back in 2019 all the way now to 2023, we have gotten closer as a D line. We've never bonded as much as we did now, because you tend to like grow up as you go through college. So just being closer to our guys, it really changed a lot of things. We're more accountable for each other. Yeah, we do a lot of things way differently when I first got here. I felt like a lot of guys were just like kind of in their own zone, but now a lot of the guys were just bought in with each other. So we just try to make sure that everyone's on the same page doing the right things.
It's funny how many times we hear that, through the coaching staffs, that you guys have grown and that the individualistic stuff is gone. That, if you don't operate like a unit, it's not going to work, right?
Mm-hmm, correct.
So let's build on that a little bit with your play. Over time, how have you gotten better? First of all, you gotten bigger, which it's funny. You got shorter too, according to one listing here. But I think they had you at 6'1", 255. You're bigger than that now.
Yeah.
But what have you learned from all these different coaches? How have you gotten better?
Just taking the little things from each coach that I've had. Going through 3 different head coaches, 4 different D-line coaches. It was kind of frustrating because they teach you one thing, the next one come in, then he teach you a whole different thing.
Was there ever a time where you learn something from a previous coach and then you're doing it and the next coach like, that's terrible, that's not what you want to do, and you're like, wait, what's going on here?
No, yeah. We've had that moment before. But these Coach Boje, who was our D-line coach last year, and Coach Logo, who's our D-line coach now, they're very similar to each other. So that was a great thing about them. Both Polynesian coaches, both raised the same. Just the family environment that they bring, and just the technique things that they teach was very similar to each other. It's just I look at Coach Logo as a older Coach Boje, so that they were very similar in person.
Naki Fahina is with us, so one of the defensive linemen for UNLV football. Missed most of last season. He's back from the foot injury, and now what is a very deep defensive line with a lot of competition. You mentioned the Polynesian background. What is it about kind of the poly culture, but especially with the big fellas, the thick fellas, kind of the attitude on the O-line and the D-line?
So just coming from a Polynesian background, Just growing up, if you're told to do something, like do it like right away. Um, we live by a lot of principles in our life. Just holding like just doing the right things growing up. So I feel like that really ties in greatly with football and just teaching the other guys about like our culture and the standards that we hold within each other, just holding each other accountable and just doing the right things.
We're always intrigued when we talk about defensive linemen about measurables and the size, the weight. You're not the biggest guy, but if you talk to the players on the team, they're like, "Man, he's mean and he's strong." Um, is that all natural, or can you kind of learn the meanness? Because what I'm getting at is there may be guys who they're recruited because they have the look. They're 6'4", 285 coming out of high school. So, first of all, talk about the kind of the meanness, and then where the strengths come from.
I think the mean is just it just comes from how I was raised. Growing up in a Polynesian household, they're gonna kind of build that tough skin with you. So growing up, with all the boys, you just grow up fighting with each other. So that's where the meanness
Yeah.
comes from. So yeah, that's basically where it comes from.
John, are you listening and thinking back to your Gorman days, which sort of fizzled out after a while as a football player, and you're like, man, I wish I had brothers to play with.
I mean,
maybe I was meaner.
It was totally only academics, not because of my physical, limitations.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
you were
no,
going to be a big star.
I was going to be a big star, totally. But speaking on that, too, kind of expanding on it, you need that at this position. How do you train? How do you pass that on to one of your teammates that maybe doesn't have it? How do you imprint that mentality on them? Like, hey, man, if you're not really up there in terms of the toughness and nastiness, how do you help them bring them along that path?
So it's kind of hard with someone who would come from a different background who didn't really grow up with that.
Right.
It's kind of hard to instill that in someone else who doesn't have the same mentality as you. But the number one thing is like you preach to them like it's either like you want to take care of your family, you got to do certain things. You got to do some things out of your comfort zone to really get there. So like you play D line, you in the trenches every single time. You're hitting someone every play. So if you ain't got that mentality that the guy across from you, like if you don't got the mentality where you got to punch him every play, it's not gonna work. So you just got to help them like get there.
Naki Fahina, UNLV football is with us. There's also, as I've learned over the years, there's also an unselfishness to playing defensive line because not everyone can just go balls to the wall and go get the quarterback. And, while you were out, I thought Darius Johnson stepped up a lot last year. And there's times, man, that's a very thankless position. Like you got to make a sacrifice to set up guys around you and behind you.
Yeah, so it all falls in down to helping everyone understand that this is a team sport. It's not no individual sport where you got to make all the plays. Like doing your job is a number one thing. You do your job, you made the play. Like you hold your B gap, and the running back coming to A gap, and the linebacker takes him. You did your job. Like that's perfect. Like you're not gonna make the play every time. Like Darius stepped up a lot last year, and I'm glad that he ended up coming here. He took the role of leadership on the D line, and I was glad. He did a lot of things for us, from switching from nose to end. So, props out to Darius Johnson for doing that. He came a long way for sure.
He's a fired up guy, right? Watching him on the
Of course,
sidelines when he comes. I watch. It's one of the units I kind of hang around the most to get a feel for the game and also get a feel for how you guys are communicating. And I've seen a couple of blowups, and then it's settled down pretty quickly. But it is, folks. Defensive line is intense, man, and it's such a battle. And then you're going against all these different teams. Like we were just talking before the show, getting ready for a battle against Air Force is completely different than getting ready for a battle against Fresno. They're both tough, but they're different.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot more thinking in the defensive line than people realize. Like I said, it's not just go get the quarterback. You got to think. So let's continue to build on what's going to happen defensively now. This is a new defense. And you tell me, is it a much different defense than you played? The 3-3-5 and your job up front, is it much different than defenses of the past?
Hands down, yeah, it's way different. At first, I didn't really think that a 3-down was like gonna do much because we're so used to that forefront that we're used to. But since Coach Shear had came in, he's really changed my mind about it. Like I would have never thought going through spring ball how chaotic that a 3-man front could be. So he's really changed my whole thought process on that 3-man front, because that 3-man front is dangerous.
I was wondering, does the thanklessness of the job increase in a 3-man front? Because is a lot of it on its surface would seem you guys, hey man, we got to tie up some gaps so everybody else can fly around and make some plays.
No, yeah, it's all about just holding your point, because nose guards most likely
Right.
going to take a bunch of the double teams. So majority of it is really just pad level. You have pad level and you strike the O lineman first, you'll be fine, because that'll give enough time for the linebackers to react and then just come and fill the gap. So I feel like just holding all that the point in the front will be solid for the linebackers.
Why is Dixon so good?
Oh, Dixon's so good because he has a chip on his shoulder. For a lot of people, the prodigy size of a D lineman and DN is 6'4" and up. But me personally, uh, you know, for being a short D lineman, we do have a chip on the shoulder. But as you look in history, you have guys like John Randall, you have Aaron Donald, barely 6 feet, maybe 6'1", but um, yeah, he just has a chip on his shoulder because we're overlooked as a D lineman with our size. So he just has all that fire to prove everyone wrong as much as a lot of us do.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the guys in talking to the coaching staff where they were like, we don't know exactly what we have. And then after a couple of weeks, we're like, there's going to be somewhere Dixon's got to play
No, yeah.
because he's so disruptive. He's so athletic, the twitchiness. All right, so what's the goal of the defense? Because, over the years, you guys have gotten better. I don't think the consistency has been there game to game like you want it. Is there a chance now to get to a level where, hey, you know what? The offense can be good. We want to be a top, half of the league defense.
No, yeah. That is in our plan right now. Our whole goal for our defense is just to communicate, do our job, and be disruptive up front. We want to get every hat we can to the ball, every play, run around, do our job. So most of it is mostly just being our brother's keeper, just doing everything that we can to hold the front and be able to hold each other accountable.
This is a weird one. The first two head coaches you played under were offensive guys, background, Tony Sanchez and Marcus Arroyo. Is it different now that Odom, played defense? He's a defensive coordinator. Shear played, pretty high level linebacker from what we hear at Missouri. Is it different for the players?
For me, yeah, it's highly different because we're not used to having an offensive head coach. Because some guys, they want
Field, yeah,
they want the head coach
Yeah.
but
So the defensive coach makes a difference.
no, yeah, it changed. It changed so many things in the facility. Like everything is just aggressive. Like you're attacking everything. Like
I was gonna say, I picture more yelling. Like I don't know why. There's more yelling.
no, yeah, like you're attacking every day. Even though he's on our side,
Yeah.
he's also on the offense on attacking every play. Like a defensive mindset on the offensive side and on the defense side. So
Okay.
we're just attacking everything.
I like it. Continue to build culture, right?
I'm
and
down
eventually
with
that
it.
leads to winning.
Whenever I go to practice, I would go hang out at the defensive positional groups. I like the yelling. I like the chastising.
Well, you like Magasu.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
He's
he likes Damon because Damon's a communicator, yelling a little bit. Logo's a little quiet around us. He is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if when he's up close to you guys, he's all fired up. But he's a little quieter.
Oh no, he'll pull us in a little tight circle
That's
so that it don't echo out. But you'll hear him. You'll hear him. He'll light some fire over there.
Expectations for this year. We mentioned the defense. You guys actually got a first place vote in the media poll to finish first. I think overall, what were they picked?
I'll double check right now. I think
was it ninth,
8th or 9th. Yep.
I think that's low. So what motivates you guys from a win standpoint? Because there's all those small things of doing your job, but in the end, you want to win.
Yeah.
So what's the motivation? Where do you guys want to get this year? And it's got to be another step, right?
Yeah. So we really, me and the guys, we really want to step up this year and take over the Mountain West. That's the ideal plan for us. We really want to be like number one in all categories from offense to defense. But yeah, that's our whole goal. But everybody's gonna have their opinion on what they want to rank us at. But that's fine because like all those numbers right now, like we worried about it, but at the same time we're really not, because at the end of the day, once the season is done, that's when it really matters.
Yeah, I don't want to turn on my media brothers, but I'll give you a little insight. I think a lot of times now with the transfer portal that a lot of us, unless you cover a program, you may know who came in, but there's so much change now that I don't think a lot of media guys know who are the backups, who's going to emerge as a one. In UNLV's case, do you think people looked and they're like, oh, Naki Fahina's back. Look at his numbers from a couple of years ago. Oh, Brendan Scott may be back, who was, on the verge of being awesome. Oh, Jackson Turner's in now. They've got all these transfers who are impact guys. So do we I don't want to rip the media for how they vote, but they don't really know. And a lot of it is based on what you've done in the past and what the win totals have been, in prior years.
No, yeah, all those numbers in the polls and everyone voting for someone, it somewhat puts a chip on our shoulder.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like we know what we got to do and what we want to do this season. We just want to prove everyone that this is a program for people to reckon with. We just want people to because a lot of people don't know what UNLV is.
Yeah.
They don't know Vegas has a school. So just building our brand and our program, that's what we want to do.
So you've been through a couple of staffs. Is there an added pressure to now help a new staff get off on the right foot in a first year?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
A little pressure on that. We try not to think about it too much, because Oda and them only been here 10 months, but it feels like they've been here for 2 years.
Really? Well, that's a good sign.
No, yeah.
That's a real good sign. All right, Naki, we'll see you in a couple weeks out of camp, and thanks for giving us time. That was good. It was really good. The practice and rehearsal worked out well.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
There you go, Naki. A quick break.